So, that was a very, thank you, Tracy, for that, for a look back at the history of this place. And now I've lost my place now. Lost it now, lost it. I took my little marker out. And now, well, anyway, I'll find it in a minute. So, there we go. Right, so, the guy that wrote Ecclesiastes was having a bit of a downer, wasn't he? Meaningless, all meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything, it really, really cheers you up, doesn't it? His attitude, it's cheered me up no end. But that's the thing, innit, about attitudes. I just wanted to think about those people's attitudes and my attitude sometimes, and maybe ours together, and how your attitude towards things can affect how you feel, and it can affect how other people feel, and other people's attitudes can affect how you feel, can't it? It's just how it is. And I just want to think about, you know, at the beginning of what we now know was the first lockdown, but we all thought it was the lockdown. We thought it was going to be over, 12 weeks, job done, you know, 16th of June, everybody back. Didn't happen. But that start of that lockdown, and at first I thought, oh no, because they were putting out things like, people over 70 have got to stop in. I thought, well, I'm not stopping in. Stopping in, have a dog to take out. Chunter. So I chunted to myself for a bit. And I remember speaking to our Anthony, and he's saying, you're going to have to stop in, Mum. I said, I'm not. But I did be sensible. But my attitude then was, me, I'm not. And then I thought, oh, this seems good, because what they were saying was only the essential shops could stop open. Do you remember that bit? Everybody had to shut, everything was shut. You couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. And all the essential shops, only essential shops. And Iceland said that they were going to have an half an hour on a Wednesday morning for old people to go and do the shopping. I thought, oh, well, I'll be old now. That's fine. I'll go do that. So I went and queued. Remember, Margaret, we were in that queue. We were queuing all the way around, weren't it? We were in that queue. Nobody wore masks because we didn't know about them then. But we're all in this queue, and we were all we'd all got these trolleys, and there's a lady about 5 people down, and she's washing. Do you want some hand sanitizer? Oh, well, I'll have a bit now. But we'd used this trolley and passed it round them. So I quite liked that bit. That were all right, because I got to do all my shopping before everybody else went in, so that were good. And they did that for a while. And then I went home, and I was looking at things, and I thought, well, I'm not going up to church, I'm not doing anything. I could decorate this back room. There's an extension on my house. I call it back, I don't know what to call it. It's back room, anyway. So I thought, I'll decorate this, so I did. I decorated it all. And it took ages. And then in the little bedroom, there was a wardrobe, a fitted wardrobe, so I took that out. And then they all needed plastering, so I got somebody to do that. I couldn't do that. And I did all that. I decorated that bedroom, and I decorated that. I did all sorts. I were right in the mood. I were up for it. You know, this is what I'll do. I'll use this time really well, and I'm going to do, because that were my attitude. And we were ringing people up and saying, it's all right, innit, because it's nice weather. We can sit in garden, can't we? Those of us feeling really sorry for those that haven't got a garden. You know, if you're in a block of flats or something and you've got the children in, must be awful, but you know, it were nice weather, so it were all right. And I were quite upbeat, you know, with all that, it were all right. And then it went on a bit, didn't it? It went on a bit longer than these few weeks we were supposed to be having, and the weather wasn't that quite that good. And then we could go out for a meal, if you remember, in August time, eat out to help out. We did that, we could do that. That was quite good, went out and did that were on. And then we had to shut again. I thought, well, I'm not doing out now. Don't feel like it. And through the second lockdown, I did nothing. Because my attitude then was, I don't care now. I'm not bothered. I don't want to. I feel miserable. I'm fed up. And I have a feeling that when I've rung up and spoke to people, they probably thought she's a right miserable so-and-so. Wittering on. I didn't witter because I had not much to witter about because I hadn't done anything. But that's my attitude. And a lot of us. And then we're thinking about, wow, I'm missing church. I'm missing seeing you. I'm missing my friends here. And my family, I couldn't see my family. I didn't see my son, I didn't see my granddaughter, I didn't see anybody like that. And we did see Anne used to come round, Rachel called round one time because she'd made some cake and had come round. That were brilliant, that. So I went out with dog mind, but she come round. But, you know, you get to see bits of people, and then you could have a bubble so I could see Tracy, that were a bit better. But it were a bit of a, I don't know about you, but I were feeling my attitude wasn't good. It wasn't good at that time. But I thought, well, we can watch this church service. John and the others and Jonathan and everybody did amazing work. And Simon particularly coming on the WhatsApp and doing the service out to people's homes. So that was good. We could still have the service. It was still good. That was still good. And I was doing that, and that were all right. And when I were talking to people, and a friend of mine, I were talking, and I was saying, what do you think when your church will be opening? She kept saying, oh, I don't know. I don't know when ours will open. She said, but I'm not bothered. She says, because we can watch it on internet now. So it's all right. Can watch it. I don't even have to get dressed. I can watch it in my pyjamas. Well, yeah, but it's not the same, is it? I didn't think it was the same. Not to me. But that's what you can do. And I think some people might still feel that way, you know, and fine if you want to do that. But then we could come back to church, couldn't we? And we had some services in the garden. That were all right when it was sunny. A bit rubbish when it was snowing, wasn't it? But we did it, didn't we? We were in the garden and you could see people, you could talk to people. So that were, then my attitude changed again. My attitude changed again. And we could come back to church. And I were looking round and like Tracy's mentioned, there's not a lot of us, is there? It's not a lot of us. And like Tracy was saying earlier, we need to decide what we're going to do now, because for 18 months, really, we've not been able to do anything. And how are we going to reach people? Because I'm all right, Jack, in here. I'm comfy. It's nice. I like it. I like you. Some of you might like me, but I like you. We're friends. I'm happy here. And I'm comfy. But our job is to reach out. And we have to look for ways to do that. And our attitude will really govern what we do. Did you see on the Olympics when they're all getting the medals? Really good, Team GB. You can revel in that. I've never run or done a hurdle or I've never done any of that, but we're good, aren't we, in Britain? We're really good. Me, yeah, could do any of that. But they were getting these medals and they were so excited. And then I'd forgotten what Tracy mentioned. That guy that they said, you won silver. He said, I didn't win silver. I lost gold. Now maybe, I don't know, being all right, maybe that's how you do if you're a sportsman, because you want to force yourself and push yourself that bit further to get the next one. Or maybe you could think, flipping it, I've got a silver here. Next time I'll get a gold. But he was so disappointed in himself and his attitude come across, and it colours what we say and what we do. And that's going to be our attitude, how we go forward. All of us will colour what we do. When we come to have meetings again, and we look, I'm saying to you, have a think. What do you think? What we ought to do? It never would have crossed my mind to do what they did and send 2 people down to Bottom Estate to bring the children in. Never occurred to me to do that. Would you do that? Would you want to walk down to Bottom Estate? Don't live on it, me. I don't know. Do we want to bring the children? We haven't got any children now. We have. We've got Sam's and we've got Lindsay's, but we haven't got many. And we need to reach people. It's not a case of getting, to be rude, it's not a case of bums on seats, is it? It's a case of people in this estate and this area that's still in desperate need of knowing about Jesus Christ and having what we've got. And it's still, how do we get there? And we might look at things and, people might bring an idea and say, we could do whatever. And somebody else might say, well, we did that 20 years ago and it didn't work, so there's not much point doing it again. Well, it might work now. It's different now. Times are different now. And we can be negative and pull ourselves down. We can have an attitude that's looking and seeing the wrong things. Or we could have that attitude of thinking, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Quite a lot of years ago, I used to go to another diet club, not the one that we were going to before. I've gone on and off to different diet clubs. And it once in my world, it were, what's the other one called? Weight Watchers. It was Weight Watchers. And a lady there, she used to say every week, she used to say when he went, I hope you have a good weight loss. Daddy, that like they do, trying to G you up, And she said, and remember, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And it's true. Can we reach these people out here? Do you think we can? Or do you think we can't? Because whichever way you think, you're right. We can have a positive attitude. We can have another attitude. I can let my attitude bring you down. Or I can let your attitude bring me up. And we can try and do that. And just because it didn't work 20 years ago, don't mean it won't work now. And we might have been trying to help people for years and years. And it's still like it is. But that don't mean we have to stop. And yes, there's only a few of us. But even in Jesus' time, what did he say to his disciples? The fields are ripe, but the labourers are few. The labourers are few. Well, that's all right. We're good labourers, aren't we? We're good workers in here. We can do things. We can manage. We can do stuff. We can all do different stuff. We can all do things that other people can't do. I keep thinking back, I was thinking when I was doing this about what Simon talked about the other week about welcome. And how it means to welcome people. And now we're welcoming. And how do you feel when you're welcomed into somebody's house and into somebody's place? Or do you feel as if you're imposing? I'm imposing on them. They didn't really want me to come, Particularly if you've just rung up and said, I'm passing, I'll call in if you've got to put kettle on. And you can see them thinking, I don't know why she's calling in now. But we have to be welcoming. But we have to do other things as well. And our attitude will dictate what we do. And we can sit as we are. We've got a choice. We've got money. We've got money in the church, Tracy said. We can use it. Or we can sit and look at it. The Church of England are investing big time in cities. They're doing one in Bradford, in other cities, and they're investing into big buildings and big things. They've got money and they're reaching out. The church as a whole, not just this place, needs to reach out. And we're ideally placed. I knew there's a silly story that was told to me when I started working for Clark's shoe department. And it was to G you up to get sales, basically, this story. And the guy that was telling you said there were two shoe salesmen, worked for different companies, and these different companies, they sent them out to different areas in the country. They said, go out and start and sell our shoes. It's a new line. Go and sell them. So the first guy went out and he went to, I don't know, a village somewhere right in the back of beyond somewhere. It's a lot of years ago, and he's looking and he thought. He rung up his company and he said, there's no point here, I'm coming back. He said, there's nobody wears shoes here. They work in fields and they do that and they don't go out a lot. They don't wear shoes. There's no point, I'm coming back. So the guy said, oh, come on back. And the other man went out and he went to the same place. And he rung his boss and he said, we're on to a winner here. He said, send me all you've got. There's nobody got any shoes here yet. Yet. Let's get your shoes here. We can look at it in two ways. Will the people listen? I don't know. Does that mean we haven't got to say anything? Not really. We don't have to. We can stay as we are. The people that are thinking, I don't have to go back to church because I can watch it on internet now and I'm still getting all that teaching and that, the fellowship through that. And it's true. We are. You see, all of us in here, do we know that Jesus loves us? Yeah. Do we accept him as Lord and Saviour? Yeah. Do we know where we're going for eternity? Yeah. So I'm all right, thanks. Do we know we can lean on when we struggle? Yeah. Do we know where we can turn when we've got a problem? Yeah. What about the people that don't know? What about the people that haven't? Is it not fair that we don't share? It's hard. I'm going to say something here that sounds really, really silly. But if you were going home today, you're going home today, right? Say you've got a joint in oven. Does anybody have joints in oven these days? There's nobody got a joint in oven. Anyway, you have, for the sake of this. Right. So you're going home, and you're walking down your street, and you see coming down, you've got a joint in oven, you're going home to get your dinner ready, and coming down the street, and you see somebody there, obviously a person in real need. They've obviously been sleeping rough, rummaging in the bins for food. I saw that down when I went in John Street, a chappie doing rummaging in the bins for food. Would you go up to that person and say, look, do you know what? I've got a joint in oven. I've got some family coming round. I'm going in. I'm just going to peel some potatoes. I'm going to get some dinner ready. Done some Yorkshires. And then we're having a pudding. I've made a pudding, a sponge pudding. Not as nice as Margaret's, but it's a sponge pudding. I've made this pudding, and we're having custard with it. I've got it. It's all going to be all ready. And there's a couple of bottles in the fridge. Nice couple of bottles of white in the fridge. And then we're going to all sit down after it. We're going to sit down on settees with my family, and we're all going to enjoy that, and we're going to talk together, and we might have a bit of a siesta. And if you want, you can come round and stand in the garden and look through a window and watch us. You would never, ever say that, would you? You would never even think that. But I know where I'm going. And I can either let people there watch us come in and out and not know, or we can say, come and share. Come and share. Come and find out what we've got. But our attitude will be the thing that'll change that. And we can either have the attitude like I had with the first lockdown and see what we can do and get on with it, or in my second lockdown when I couldn't be bothered doing anything, quite frankly. In fact, I never even cleaned cupboards out that everybody else were doing. I didn't do that because I didn't want. And this guy in Ecclesiastes is looking at it from those eyes that I had. And he's thinking, what's the flipping point? What's the point? It's all meaningless. The river goes, comes back, sun goes, comes back, round and round. Tried to learn everything, still a load of rubbish. No point. That's through his eyes. That's through that second lockdown was through my eyes, through how I felt and my attitude. But when you read further on, this man realises that through God's perspective, nothing's meaningless. Nothing is. You look at what's going on in the world today and we think, flipping heck, I don't know. I don't know. What can I do? What can I do? It can't be right. But God, we sang that first song, didn't we? He is God, and we are not. And he's asked us to share what he's given us. We're safe with it, we've got it, we're fine. But he said share it. And we have to think of ways to do that. So our attitude needs to be not, I can't be bothered, not, I'm too old, not, I don't know how to do that, but what can we do? How will we do it? What shall we do? So we will, Tracy said, we're having a church meeting, September. Have a think. See what you come up with. And if what you think, I think it sounds a bit silly that, Well, it probably won't to somebody else. And let's look and see where we go. Our attitude will guide what we do. It can easily do it. You can easily bring somebody down. You can easily build somebody up. You can easily bring yourself down. You can easily build yourself. Not always easy build yourself up. But it's your attitude, and we can do that. It's a bit like when Jesus said, he said, you've got to love everybody. Well, fortunately to me, he didn't say you've got to like everybody or to everybody else, did he? But and love is an act of will, isn't it? It's not just an emotion. And it's not just, that sort of love is not the love that we use for all. So I love peas. That doesn't mean anything really, does it? And you have love for your parents, for your family, for your spouse, for your children, for your friends. These are different loves, and we have to work at it. And our attitude that needs to be positive, we need to work at it. And I might feel like I don't want to do. I remember when Jonathan, a couple of years back, it's about 4 years back now, Jonathan, when you said, I'm going to go out onto the estate on Valentine's Day and give people a daffodil and a chocolate. Was it a daffodil? Anyway, whatever it was. And a chocolate and a hug. And he said, who's coming? We all jumped up and said, yeah, we'll come, Jonathan, didn't we? I didn't. Didn't jump up. I was very fortunate I had to be somewhere else that day. But the next time I didn't have that excuse. And when we went out, those of us that went, do you know what? It was great. It was great. And you stood there with this piece of paper, this placard saying, free hugs. And you think, what are they going to say? And Pete said, do you want a hug? And they were saying, yeah. Yeah. And I know it's COVID and you can't. I know we've got to be careful. But it ain't going to be COVID forever. And you don't have to hug everybody. But it's the attitude, isn't it? It's our attitude. So I just wanted to say, this guy, when you read further on, he looks at, from his point of view, everything's meaningless. From God's, when we put it all, ask God to show us what? No way is it meaningless. He created this world. He created us. He created everything in it. And it ain't meaningless. He didn't do anything like that. So he will help us. But all we've got to do is let other people know. It's our attitude has to be, what can we do, doesn't it? So my attitude, I'm speaking really to me, because I very easily got into the second lockdown of not doing anything. I'd cleaned every cupboard in house before. I haven't done them for ages. In fact, under my sink's a bit of a mess, to be honest. But I will do it now. Now I've told you that. I'll have to do it in case anybody pops round and wants to look under the sink. But you know, it's that. All I'm trying to say is it's attitude, isn't it? And we have to have that. Not the, I don't want. What if we need to get ready for children? There ain't any. What's the point? But there will be, if we get ready for them. There will be. And what are we going to do with them? I spent years out in Sunday school. I don't want to do that anymore. Well, if you don't, who? If not me, who's going to do it? If not you, if not us, we have to tell people. And however we do that, it's not like doing anything. Remember, what it other Tuesday, Margaret, when you were coming down to church to do the dinners and you saw somebody sat on the wall here? Now, if Margaret had said, I'm not going out with dinners anymore because I'm getting too old, she could have said that and nobody would have thought twice, because she's done it for years, haven't you? They said, that's all right. Same with Rose. Rose comes in. Never yet said she's too old. Comes in. But you could have just said, and then you wouldn't have seen that lady sitting on that wall. And you wouldn't have been able to have a chat with her. It's little things like that. So we need to be that, willing. And now I have that attitude of, let's try and reach people. It doesn't matter if there's only 4 people come to church meeting. It'd be a lot better if you all came, like. But if there's only 4, we can still make a decision. But we all have to agree with it and do it. So let's look at what we're going to do. We've had this time. It's our attitude. Not be like the guy at the beginning of Ecclesiastes, but later on, when it comes to the wisdom of obeying God. That's the wisdom we cling to. And he won't make it too hard for us. He is God, and we're not. That song, we're made for this. That's there. So, we've come to the end of that. Look at God's point of view. We're going to sing a song, and then Tracy's going to come and close. Thanks now.